Now you might have seen this skill saw, or this circulating saw. Well, of course I'm not going to cut any of this with that. But how am I going to cut that? I don't have my electric miter saw here. I'll show you how I'm going to cut that. How am I going to cut that? I went to the store and I'm going to use, where is it? Look at this. Look at this. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. This is what I'm going to use. This is my little miter saw. Okay? That's what I'm going to use to cut all this. Unbelievable, huh? But true. Okay? I'm going to use that, and I'm just now looking at it. And, well, before I talk about that, this was like $5. This was $10. And you could buy a set that comes together for the same price with a cheaper saw that's got a plastic handle for the same price, you know, as a set. Or you can buy that separate, and you can buy this separate. Now, and this was $10. So the whole thing is like, do I want to buy this set as a set, or do I want to buy the other one that was a funky saw with a plastic handle and stuff? And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this one here. This one said, look at this, guarantee forever. And this is a miter saw. The other one was the same. This is called a back saw, 14-inch. The other one was the same size, and the teeth size were the same and everything like that. But this one said it was guaranteed forever. And so I thought, hey, I'll use this one, and that's how I'm going to cut everything. I'm going to set it up here, and I've got. That's why I've got my saw out. I was going to cut this 2x4 because this thing, I want to raise it up off the floor a little bit. So I'm going to cut a couple 2x4, screw them together, and then screw this down to the 2x4 to raise this up off the floor so I don't have to cut so close to the ground, you know, as I'm cutting. And that's how I'm going to do it. And, you know, the one thing I'm looking at that I don't think they did, it's kind of irked to me, is, see, they have enough for straight cuts and 45-degree cuts, but not 22.5 cuts. 22.5 degree. They could have put some other lines in here, couldn't they? And I'm going to have to cut. I'm going to have to actually make my own line through here. Can you believe that? I'm going to have to do that because there's on all my outside corners. See this? When I come across here, I'm going to have to put a cut here and a cut here. And I believe I'm going to have to make this 22.5, 22.5, 22.5 cut, 22.5 cut. That makes a 45. That makes a 45. You see what I'm saying? I can't cut this at a 45 and this at a 45 and have it go across this way either. That's kind of sucky. And most of the little plastic miter box saws like this, I guess they don't have that. They at the store, I didn't look, but all I saw was the same little boxes all over the place. And so I'm going to have to use my saw, and I'm going to have to cut another line through this plastic, believe it or not. And I'll just have to, you know, split the difference on here, split the difference on here. That'll give me my exact angle, I believe. I'm going to have to try it and see. And I've got some carpet here, and I'll set the carpet down here, and I've got my knee pad and all that kind of stuff. And that is how I'm going to cut this quarter round. It shouldn't take me. It's not going to be that difficult to cut this quarter round because it's not real wood, and it's lightweight. The type of cork stuff that they have installed on this, and the outside is that plastic stuff. So see, it's still going to take me a while, but this is my only project that I'm going to have to do this, and I wanted to do it and show you that if I can do it, you can do it. You don't have to spend too much money on this stuff. Okay? And I didn't want to have to rent an electric miter saw, and I do have a miter saw, but it's not here. I would have to get it and drive it over here next time I was around and all that kind of stuff. And you may not feel comfortable using an electric saw and stuff. And if you've never used a miter saw before, you may not want to use it on something like this. And you know, it just takes a little knack on knowing how to use that miter saw and stuff. Use this saw right here and you'll be good to go. This was $15. You may not use this, but only once in a blue moon for a little piece of trim now and again. So why not just use something like that instead of a miter saw? Now, if you don't have a miter saw, you don't have to buy one, but if you could rent one for the day, and I could drive around to a rental company and try to find one and then hurry up and try to get all my whole job done so I can get it back so I don't have to be charged for 2 days or 2.5, 3 days worth of rental time. Then I've got to drive it back and all that kind of stuff. You want to do that? Yeah, fine. That's no problem. You can do that too. There's another way for you to cut and install this trim, okay? I'm just giving you different thoughts and ideas on how to get this done and showing you how I'm going to do it. You know, you don't have to, this is not rocket science. You don't have to pay a carpenter, a trim guy, you know, to come out here and bring all of his tools and his saws and his nail guns and all that kind of stuff, and then paint it and then caulk it and fill the nail holes and all the nails and stuff and all that kind of stuff. You can do all that stuff on your own, and that's another reason why I'm not going to nail this. I'm going to caulk this. And after it dries, and I'm going to get a nice little thin bead of caulking on top of that and call it good. Mommy said she's fine with the color. She doesn't care if it's slightly off. I mean, it's slightly off. I'm not going to lie. It's not 100% perfect, but it looks pretty darn good. And when somebody comes in here, I don't think I'm going to ever have anybody saying, hey, how come you didn't paint that quarter round down at the bottom? And if they do, if they want to sit there and let me explain to them why I didn't do it, hey, I don't have a problem with that. And even if you were to nail it, like I say, even if you were to nail it, you've got to remember to nail it that direction to the base, okay? Not at an angle down to the subfloor or straight down or even touch your flooring if it's a free-floating floor. You see what I'm saying? And even when you get all done, you're going to have to caulk it, right? And if you were painting it, if I was painting this, let's say, I still would paint it first, I would still glue it up the same way, and I would still caulk the top, and once I caulk the top, I wouldn't even have to paint it at all because the bottom edge is already painted with 2 coats if I did it before I installed it. You see what I'm saying? So you pick and choose how to do it, but that's what I'm going to do, and I'm sticking to it. Well, have fun with your project. Well, one afternoon done. I didn't get a good start until, probably noon or so. Then I had to get all set up and stuff. Here it is, 5:30. And I'm on my way. Here I got the piece. And it's slow going because like right in here, this piece here had to be notched from here on that way because this trim going up the stairs sticks out just a little bit more than that by about almost 1/8 of an inch. So I had to notch it, or else I would have had a big gap there and stuff. And then I glued it, put the masking tape down there. And Momi had a good question. She says, hey, is that masking tape gonna pull the paint off of the baseboard? And I said, no, I'm just gonna leave it on there for a night. I'll pull it off tomorrow. And plus, she only have the masking tape up on the baseboard only 1/8 of an inch or so, because I just used my 1.42 inches. I don't know why they call it that on the masking tape, but that's what it is, and it gave me just enough. And then I had to fit the pieces in around there, and this is going to be your friend, this rasp. And I had an old one and I have a new one, and this one's a new one, and it's really super sharp, and I've been using that to file off the edges because not everything is a perfect 22.5 degrees and a 45. If the wall's slightly off, you gotta figure that. Plus this wall here is not necessarily square with this and that. And I had to piece these pieces in. And then the piece here, you can't really see it. I'll show it to you tomorrow. But this piece had to be notched from here up about 3/16 of an inch from here over. I did that with my little back saw and got them all nicely fit up in there. And then a couple spots where it wasn't pushing down, I had some real tiny nails. And I've got my tiniest drill bit on there, and I've got that one right there to kind of keep that pushed down. And I didn't nail it in all the way. That's just down until this dries. I can pull that out tomorrow if I don't want to drive it in all the way. We'll see. And then I kept putting the pieces in, and on the inside corners, of course, those are 45 degree. This is a 45 and 45, which is a 90. And then 22 and a half and 22 and a half would then make this a 45. 22 and a half, 22 and a half, 45. This one had to be notched from here over, up across there. And I got this. I had to put just a couple nails in to hold it in place, and like I say, I may have to pull those out or leave them in and push them in all the way. And these outside corners just take time, because again, I just been cutting all that stuff with the little hand saw, that little back saw, and that plastic deal, and it worked pretty good. And see, this one, I took this quarter round off of this, of the side of there and the toe kick all the way around when I took the flooring out, and then I saved all the pieces, and then I took them and lined it up so I knew exactly how far this one needed to be pushed that way, because it was cut kind of wonky at the end and it was square, and I had to cut a 45 degree cut on there, lined it up with that, and I put glue on there, put a nail in there, and I've got that all nicely set. And so tomorrow I'll keep working on this. I've still got a ways to go. Yes, I've got all day, pretty much all day tomorrow to do all these little outside corners. There's 4 little pieces, 4 cuts at each corner, 4 cuts, 2 there, and fitting them in there. And I'm glad I had my little rasp. That's been coming in handy. Here I've got those 2 outside corners, these 2 outside corners. There's another outside corner, another outside corner, and another outside corner. And I'll get them. It's just going to take a while, and while I'm working all in here and stuff, I'll show you my progress. You know, this is just I'm going to make a series of these videos so that you can, if you care to watch this and see what I do next and how it's going to look after I caulk it. No, I'll show you some cutting tomorrow and gluing it up there and how I attach it. I wanted to get going. I didn't want to spend too much time on that today. I wanted to get going down the road to see how far I could actually get. And Pip, do you agree with my stuff? Ooh, look at her. She's been watching me and figuring stuff out with me and stuff. And it's just going to take you some time to put this corner round on. But when I get done, it's going to look really super good. And I did it without a nail gun. I've done it without an electric miter, chop saw, what do you call it? A combination miter, saw, electric saw, and no nail guns, none of that. And when I get all done, see, when I get all done, I won't have to fill any nail holes all over the place. I didn't have to paint it because it's matching pretty close, you see? I mean, can you really tell that that's really that far off? And that's just that plastic finish, and it's got a nice sheen to it. And it looks almost like the painted baseboards. That's why we chose not to paint this. But if I did, I would have painted it, and I still wouldn't have nailed it on there. It's tricky to nail it on too. And even if you were to nail it, I mean, how often would you have to nail this stuff before it's all wonky anyways, you know? So now I've got a nice bead of caulking under it, and see, I've only used this much caulking out of one tube to get all of this so far. So I'll probably use 2 tubes tomorrow on the backing bit, and then tomorrow I don't know, I might caulk some of this, the finished caulking, or I may leave that masking tape up until late tomorrow afternoon, so it's on there, you know, 24 hours. I want to make sure that caulking on the back side is nice and dry and it's sticking really good before I pull the masking tape up. Okay. All right, so that's it for today. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos. And I'm hoping you'll stick around and watch more of this. And like I say, tomorrow I'll cut some. I'll actually use the my little back saw and that little tray. Show you how I did that, and do some measuring, do some gluing, and some attaching with the masking tape so that you'll feel comfortable that, hey, if I can do it, of course you can do it too.